All right, welcome to another show with Mark and Matt. Just want to
we're
say
here.
thank you. Just want to say thank you to all our subscribers on YouTube or any listeners to this podcast and all the other socials, Udemy, and all that fun stuff. So, of course, thank you guys. Thank you for watching. And on today's show, we are going to be talking about food. So, Mark, start us off.
Food. Well, of course, food is such a big part of all of our lives. Day in, day out, we're just essentially waiting for the next meal, right? We work and then eat, play and then eat, sleep and then eat. It's one of those life essentials. And some people are really passionate about what they consume and others less so. And so I thought, today we could just talk a bit about food and my food life and your food life. So question one, are you a foodie?
Mark, it's a good question. I think sometimes I'm a foodie and sometimes I'm not. I think if you asked my wife, she would say I'm a foodie because I'm quite picky actually, or especially when it comes to like choosing a restaurant. I always have like a pretty specific idea of what I want to eat. But I don't think that I don't really care what I eat, but I care sometimes what I eat, if that makes sense.
Okay, so I guess you're a off and on foodie.
I'm an off and on foodie. That's a good way to say that. Yep.
Yeah. So,
and I see you every day. You eat pretty much the same thing. So are you a foodie?
Yes. So I'll say I definitely wasn't a foodie before I met my wife. So Matt knows my wife. My wife is like the definition of a foodie. She cares a ton about food. She always wants to try different kinds of food. She's introduced me to all of these different cuisines I'd never known about before. She cares about cooking. She cares about the experience and like the atmosphere of the restaurant and all the different things the chef does. And like, she has friends who go to $400, $500 a meal, sometimes $1,000 a meal places to get the supreme version of each food. So like I've been exposed to the foodie world in a way that I didn't even know existed. Like I didn't even know this kind of thing existed even 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So I'm not a foodie, but I've been immersed in the foodie world a little bit because of my wife's influence. So, yeah, it's quite interesting, actually.
Nice. Yeah, that's maybe I'm the same. I think once I met my wife and she opened me up to like Sichuan food and mala and things like that. I think maybe I'm the same. Okay, interesting. So that kind of leads us into the next question. How big of a role does food play for you in your life? Because like I said, I see you every day, and Monday through Thursday, you pretty much eat the same thing. So how big of a role does food play in your life?
So I think sometimes people get annoyed with me because like my taste buds, I have a very, very short attention span. I could eat the same thing. Like I do eat the same thing 4 days a week, 5 days a week sometimes for lunch. And it's fine. Like, I think it's good today. When I eat it again tomorrow, it's also going to be just as good. And I think that comes from my roots, where I kind of saw food as sustenance. Food was just a way to get energy. It was what I needed so I could perform well at sports. It was so I could focus more when I'm studying, right? If you're really, really hungry, you can't do those things well. So food was just a means to an end so that I could have my caloric intake necessary to get through my day. But like I mentioned before, now my attitude towards food has changed just because I've seen how passionate some people are about it and how much more there is to food than just sustenance. And I think, like you said with your wife, you start to notice that it kind of rubs off on you whenever you see other people having that passion for a food life.
I agree. I think I'm starting to realize that with wine. I don't know, because 5 years ago, maybe even 2 years ago, it was like red wine or white wine. Like that was my like, which one do you want, red or white?
Yeah, who cares?
And I think, yeah, who cares? But now, we have a couple of friends, Katie and Matthew. Hey guys, and they're super into wine, and they're drinking like Shirazes and Bordeaux's and Barolo from Spain, and for me it's like it was super overwhelming. But then after a while, they start to introduce you to this Malbec or this Pinot Noir, and you can actually start to taste the difference. And I think you have no choice but to become kind of like a wine snob in a way, where you're like, this one's not so good and this one's better. And I've even gotten to the point where I'm like, we're buying like nice wine glasses now because apparently wine tastes better if the crystal is better or something like that. So I think very similar to food or going to like a $500 restaurant. I don't really understand that. It doesn't make sense to me because it's just food. But I think nowadays, instead of buying like a $30 bottle of wine, we're buying like a $50 bottle of wine because we actually maybe kind of know what we're buying.
Yeah.
So I think that's
like I think of like my life as a university student where like box wine was peak wine for me.
Good. Box wine, good.
Box wine was like, that's what wine is, right? And I know after kind of you open that, I guess that's not Pandora's box, but you open that box, right? And you realize, oh, holy crap, this is just that's literally the worst, right? The worst level, the shittiest level possible. And then there's so much more. Like, or another example would be like, when I was in my 20s, I would stay at like Days Inn, or, you stay at like the
Best Western.
Best Western. You stay at these really cheap hotels. And I'm like, oh, this is a good hotel. And then you realize later when you're older, you're like, oh my God.
So this is the Shangri-La. Oh, I see.
This is why people pay 10 times as much.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think you get that same experience whenever you're exposed to food.
I agree.
So
I agree.
We're showing how cultured we are. Yeah.
Yes, of course, and how much we grow. Okay, so you mentioned food as a kid. So kind of describe that. I know you're from Pittsburgh. So what did like a typical Pittsburgh boy eat every day? I know you said caloric intake and sustenance, and just trying to fuel the fire, fuel the body. So what's a standard Pittsburghian, if that's even what it is, Pittsburghian diet?
So hello everyone else who grew up in white suburbia, and I know there's a variety of different family situations, and like I love my parents to death, but they were both working full-time or working part-time full-time, right, at different times in their lives. And so like my mom, she wasn't like planning out a full dinner experience. She was just trying to get food on the table and having something prepared each night for us. She was busy with a lot of other things. So we would have like pasta, meatloaf, the fish fillets that you'd get in the microwave, casseroles, the crock pot.
Yeah.
The crock pot, or I guess I don't know how. I guess you guys we can figure.
I think a lot of like for me,
slow cooker.
Sorry,
it's called a slow cooker.
Slow cooker, crock pot. That's a crock pot. Yeah.
Crock pot, slow cooker. Yeah.
Right.
So it was usually that style of food. So maybe same for you, Matt, like growing up.
Well, same for us. I think, people ask me all the time, potatoes were our rice. So I know a lot of our students who are watching are from Asia, right? So, potatoes were our rice, and it was like, boiled potatoes, which, yum. I would rather eat white rice any day. But it was always the same thing. It was like potatoes, meat, and some vegetable, right? And that meat changed every day, but the potatoes were always there with bland gravy or something like that.
Yeah.
And, salt and pepper basically to make it.
The vegetables out of a can, right?
Canned food, right?
Canned food, so much canned food.
I'm going to go off on a tangent a little bit here, because the first time that my mom visited me, this was after I had my first kid. I was married with Macy. And, we went to the supermarket, and, Fair Price or cold storage, can't remember. And, she was buying, my mom was walking around the aisles buying all this canned food. And this is maybe 7 years after I had left Canada. So I was really, really shocked, because I hadn't bought canned food for like 6 or 7 years, because it's just something. I just went to the fresh vegetables, the fresh fruit. She was buying like, the canned fruit salad and stuff like that. And I'm like, we're in Singapore, you got mangoes, you got
everything.
all these different fruits that you could just buy fresh. And it was just this, it was kind of like this, I don't know, this flashback to a time where I was like, oh yeah, right. I would open the pantry or open the Lazy Susan, and it would just be like canned food, Chef Boyardee, all these things, frozen pizzas in the freezer, the deep freeze, as we call them. And I thought that was always
how different
interesting.
It is, right? Yeah, it's crazy how different it's also like, I think it's about location as well, because we were landlocked.
Yeah,
so
me too.
Yeah, so it's hours and hours and hours from the sea. So yeah, most of our food was that canned food. Like I think nowadays the only canned food I see is Spam and tuna.
Yeah, I would eat canned tuna, but very rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, very rare. Maybe tomato sauce. Actually, the only thing I buy in a can personally is tomato sauce or tomato, like crushed tomatoes or something like that. Because who can be bothered to like squish the tomatoes in your hand to make pasta sauce?
Yeah, and our daily staples, I think you're right. It was like bread and pasta. If we had rice, that was like a exotic thing, or like it was.
And it was like,
yeah, right.
And it was like Uncle Ben's, right? It was like instant rice. It was like, I had no idea how to make rice. It was like came in a box. You added water, like put it in the microwave, and it was like 5 minutes later, it was done. Our Asian students are probably like, oh my God, are you kidding me? That's how you make rice. That's how we make rice. Yeah. Sorry. Maybe now it's changed because it's been 15 years, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I forget what they my in-laws, they call me there's some rice phrase, because I eat a ton of rice. You're back. I thought you froze.
Technical difficulties. So did you.
Yeah, that's okay. But maybe our Chinese students could write in the comments. There's something you call someone who eats a lot of rice. There's a specific phrase. You can, if it's in Chinese, or I'll get it from Zoe. I'll get it from one of my in-laws.
We'll put it down.
They joke with me about that I'm right, like I'm a rice box or rice bowl or something, because I just eat a ton of rice now, because it's ridiculously it's easy to make with a rice cooker, and it's super good, and it's like we're both changed men. Just
I'm Asian now. I mean, if you ask me if I'm a foodie, like I'm an Asian foodie now. So I think kind of leads us to the next question. What's your go-to meal? What's your craving? If you're upset, I don't know, if it doesn't even matter, upset, or like maybe you don't have time or whatever. What's your, like, what do you want to eat? If you want to eat something, what do you want to eat?
Yeah, so my cravings, it tends to like rotate. So I'll crave Japanese, then I'll crave Korean, then I'll crave Vietnamese. And then if I go back to Western style, I start to crave things like bagels.
Oh.
I start to crave bagels, or like a New York style sandwich, like a club sandwich, or at times I'll crave pastrami, because I traveled to New York, and I lived in California for a little while, and there were some just great Jewish delis. So I have like nostalgia for that taste.
Yep.
So those are just my random cravings, but it tends to like go in a circle. After I have one, it kind of goes away for a while, and then I move to the next one and the next one. But yeah, that's my list.
Well, that list sounds really extensive, because I would say like
quite long.
Mine is like pizza. Like if I have a long day, like I said I don't keep frozen food, but I will have like 1 or 2 frozen pizzas in the freezer just in case, because like if I get home after a long day, or I go for a run or something, and I can't be bothered to like actually cook something, I'll just throw like a frozen pizza in the oven, or I'll order pizza. Or for me, it's like, that's kind of my go-to. I probably have to have pizza like once a week.
Okay. Well, I mean, growing up in the US, our cravings were like mac and cheese and chicken nuggets. But again, like we talked about, there was a bit of a culinary evolution that went on with, and I'm so spoiled by Singapore. I am spoiled rotten by the amount of choice I have in Singapore. So I think that's why my cravings list has gone from 1 to like 15.
For sure. Like sometimes I'll open Grab, like especially when the restaurants were closed and everything, and it's like overload. What's that called when you have
It's
too much
overwhelming.
choice?
Yeah, or yeah, you
Like
can have, yeah,
like you have too much choice. There's a word for it. Students, if you're watching this
yeah.
or when you're
It's in
I
one
know
of
you're
our
watching
upper
this.
books. Yeah,
When you have too much choice, you kind of get frozen, almost like paralysis or something like that. So I find it really, really
yeah, yeah,
tough to eat. All right, so we've been talking about good food. We've been talking about cravings and binge,
cravings.
like your go-to.
Yeah, your
What's the
go-tos.
worst? What's the worst food you've ever eaten?
Um, so this is a funny story. I was in Japan, and I used to go to like a 30-minute conversation session with this adorable Japanese old lady, and I'd practice my Japanese with her. And at one of these sessions, she gave me a century egg as a present. She was like, I got this, and if you guys know century eggs, they're these like black as like midnight black eggs that I think are popular in Asia, right? And she did like usually what we like now I know that we have them with porridge or we have them as part of some other meal. But she just gave me this black egg, and to be polite, I was like, okay, I'll try. So I just bit into a whole century egg, raw, like the not like nothing else, just the century egg, and it was awful. And of course, I kept eating it because in Japan, I've learned, and I still do this sometimes. If someone gives you a present and you're trying something they gave you, you're gonna finish it, or at least that's my philosophy. Unless
Well,
it's like
that's the nice thing to do.
unless it makes you completely nauseous. So I ate through a whole century egg, and I have a little bit of trauma, but that's my worst that's my worst food experience.
Congratulations. Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, I have a similar story. It's probably not the worst thing I've ever eaten, but it's definitely one of the more surprising things that I've tried. I was in Tibet. This is going back to like 2007,
Oh
2008.
wow.
And I was freezing. I was in this like mountain restaurant, this little like cafe or something. And then this, same kind of thing. So this cute little old lady, like just, like slinked her way across the restaurant. She poured me a cup of tea and it was like yellow. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I'd never heard anything about this. And I took a sip and it tasted like buttered popcorn. Like it was literally like drinking melted butter.
Okay.
And I was drinking melted butter. It was called yak butter tea. Um,
Ah,
and the issue is, so that's it's not that bad actually.
the taste was fine. Yeah.
well, it was surprising. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, I'm drinking yak butter tea. So if you want to check that out, you can do that. But so what I did to be polite, like you, I finished it, and then she walked over and she gave me more. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to be polite again. So I finished it, and it was like getting kind of worse because imagine drinking melted butter, 2 cups, and then eventually, I think on like the third or fourth cup, I was like halfway through, and finally, like another local person walked up to me and said, "Don't finish it." And I said, "Why?" And they said, "Oh, if you finish it, she will want to give you more. It's customary to leave a little bit so she won't refill your cup." So I thought
Rookie mistake.
it was a rookie move. I was still new, fresh in Asia. It was like my
Oh,
first year here, but I had no idea. I mean, I thought be polite, finish it, even though it's not like you did with the century egg. Imagine she gave you another one.
oh yeah. Thank God. Thank God she only had one. But yeah, I think in Japan, China, both like, yeah, if you finish, they're going to be compelled to refill your glass, or they're going to be compelled to offer more. So,
Right.
yeah,
Okay, so we're running low on time, so we're going
yeah,
to
we
jump
might have,
to
yeah, we
we're going
might
to
have
jump
to
to
move
we're
on.
going to talk about 5 food idioms.
Ah, okay, boom, okay.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you an idiom. You're going to try to use it in a sentence and then
Mhm.
explain what it means. Okay.
Okay,
All right. So to butter someone up.
okay. So my my son was trying to butter me up so that he could get one of the toys in the store.
Okay.
I I think like actually with idioms, I'm kind of rusty.
These are really hard. I know it's hard.
Yeah,
Students,
but I
don't use
think
idioms.
yeah. So so again, even natives were like, I think it means this. I've heard it enough times, but I haven't looked at the definition. So usually to butter someone up is like you compliment them or make them feel good about themselves, and then I was using the example like sometimes you butter someone up because you have ulterior motives. Maybe you need something from your boss or something from your spouse, or yeah, like if I could use an example with a son. he wants something, so he tries to butter me up so that I'm in a good mood and he'll be able to get.
So he'll compliment you. He'll say nice
Yeah.
things to you, butter you up. So I could buy my wife some flowers or something and be like, hey, here's some flowers. I love you. Can I play golf on Saturday? Right. So it's like I'm buttering her up. And I don't know why we say that, why we would butter someone up, but just to compliment them, give them something good. So probably you can get something in return. Nice. All right. All right. Okay. Give me one.
Okay. If you're the apple of one's eye.
Apple of one's eye. Okay. This is actually a really good Chinese movie, Apple of My Eye.
Oh.
I highly recommend. I think maybe once my Chinese gets better, I'll watch it again. I could be cheesy and I can say that, my wife is the apple of my eye. Or my kids are the apple of my eye. My wife is the apple of my eye. Just means she's the only one for me, or she's the only one that I see. So I love her, or she's the only one I see. So she's the apple of my eye. Yeah.
Yes.
This is a pretty easy one.
Yeah, not too bad, right?
Again, we're not going to use this too much in conversation, right?
Yeah, I think I've heard it in like love songs and stuff. Like it's yeah. Again,
so you're the apple of my eye. But if you said that to someone, they would probably vomit because it's too cheesy, which is another English idiom.
Yes, food. It's a bit too cheesy.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got so good. That's apple of one's eye. Our next one.
All right. Bread and butter.
Bread and butter. And again, I think like these are so funny with idioms because for us it's almost like you have an instinct for what it means. But I want to make sure, like if something's your bread and butter, it's something that is easy for you or natural for you. It's like in your wheelhouse. I've heard that one before.
Nice. In your wheelhouse.
Something's in your wheelhouse. Like, so this is something that I can pretty easily do or easily accomplish. It's my bread and butter. So nice. Yeah, around that? Or
I would say, yeah.
Okay.
Woo. Yeah, it's my bread and butter. It's the thing you do well. It's the thing that's easy for you. It's like super simple, right? It's like bread and butter, put it on, eat it. It's super good. All right. Nice. All right, very good.
Nice. Okay, next we're gonna bring home the bacon. So
bring home the bacon. I hate, this is bad luck because we're talking about my wife 2 idioms in a row. But my wife likes it when I bring home the bacon.
For breakfast, right?
Don't think naughtily, biente, bientai, anything like that. Don't think like that, people. But bring home the bacon. That just means bring home money, right? I bring home the money. My wife's happy. My kids, they don't even realize they're ungrateful. But my wife, she's happy if I bring home the bacon.
Yeah. I was Googling this. I guess in other countries like Spain, like they say bring home the bread, which also makes sense. But in Canada and America, we love ourselves some bacon.
God, I love bacon.
The food of
now I'm craving bacon. Yeah. Now I'm craving
bacon. Well, after we record, Matt can run out and try to get some bacon.
I can go buy some bacon. All right. Yeah. So we got a few more minutes. Last one, and then we're going to wrap it up. Mark, egg someone on.
If you egg someone on, I always think of like teenagers. The teenagers, there's a group of your friends and they're like, oh, do it, right? We used to play, oh my gosh, I'm in my Ding Dong Ditch.
Yep.
You remember Ding Dong Ditch?
I do.
So
terrible,
Ding Dong Ditch.
Terrible children.
terrible. So Ding Dong Ditch, you would, there's people, we didn't live in apartments. We lived in like standalone houses. So what you'd do is you'd go and you'd ring their doorbell and then you'd run away. So you and your friends, you would egg somebody on, be like, oh, go ring. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's Mr. Carpenter's house. He's such the old man. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Come on. So.
Oh, egg someone on. Yeah, that's what it means. Can it also mean to like tease someone? Like to troll?
Maybe I'm wrong. If you're
no, I think you're correct. I think that's correct also. We don't even know. See, we're teachers. We don't even know. We'll talk about this in the Zoom. After this, we'll talk about this in the Zoom. And I'll try to find the answer.
Somebody or like, in my imagination, egging somebody on is like you're pressuring them into doing something.
Yeah. I thought it was like trolling. You're trolling someone. You're trying to like tease them. But no, you're right. Egg someone on. Kind of push them to do something.
If you're trying to get a reaction from them, maybe that could also be.
Yeah. Oh, like you're ugly. I don't like you. Yeah, you're egging them on.
Let's see who's right. I don't know. We have to come on. We'll check my favorite dictionary, Mr. Cambridge Laser.
Okay. Nice,
Yeah.
nice. All right, so let's wrap it up. I think we had a great conversation about food.
Yes.
You know, for the students watching, for everyone watching, obviously we're going to join the Zoom group in a
Yes.
minute. But for those of you who are watching on YouTube, if you guys do want to join the Zoom, please go to teachersmarkandmatt.com. Register, super easy, put your email in there, and then we will send you the Zoom link for next week or Friday's lesson. Obviously, if you guys want to see more from us, free English content, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok,
everywhere now.
we're everywhere. So just you know, Teachers Mark and Matt, follow us, and for the students that are watching live right now, obviously, you know, join us in the Zoom, and we're going to talk about food. So if you guys have any questions, just let me know, or you can also let me know in the comments as well. So that's it.
Yeah, but again, great to see your students, and we'll catch you again soon.
All right, thank you. Bye.